Hello, hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Gunn Show presented by MTDCNC. Man, what a guy I have for you all today. This is my good friend, David Modig, president of Modig Machine Tool. So, David, thank you so much for being a part of the Gunn Show. This is the Gunn Show.
Thank you for having me.
So for the audience listening right now, you guys may or may not know, and I hope you do if you've been following along, but I had a really great pleasure to meet David in person, although he's based in Sweden and the company is a Swedish machine manufacturer, machine builder. But I had the great privilege to meet him in Wichita, which was the grand opening of a facility here in the U.S., and was so exciting to be a part of. And we'll get into that grand opening a little bit later, but I just kind of wanted to brag a little bit about having the time to spend with David in Wichita, and just what a great character and person he is for all of you out there listening. David, let's start out about how you got into machining, which for me personally, I know started as you growing up in a machine shop with your dad and granddad and everyone involved in Modig, and the photos I've seen on the walls of all of your family as well. But would you mind explaining to the audience out there who hasn't had the great pleasure that I have about who you are and how you grew up in the industry?
Sure. No, you're absolutely right. I've been in this business for my whole life. I grew up in the machine tool industry with my dad. Actually, my grandfather passed away before I was born, so it was my dad. He taught me I wouldn't say everything, but most of the things I know, and it's been a pleasure. I mean, for me, it's not a job. It's more of a hobby, and it's machines are my life. So it started already in when I was around maybe 3-4 years old. I spent most of my time in the workshop, running around machines and looking at things and disturbing everyone, and so it was quite fun. And when you start working, eventually you had to be a little bit more serious and learn things. So I had it was easy for me to learn, because you didn't really know that you were taught when you listened. So I went to all the meetings. I went everywhere with my dad, because my mom and dad was divorced, so I had to go with them everywhere. So it was a good school.
That's it's amazing to know that you grew up in the industry, and I've heard you say it almost every conversation we've had, that machine tools is your life, and you're not lying about that. It's been your entire life, but you also have a family and a young child as well, and you've been with them for a little while, and that really humanizes who you are also, right? Because you're not just machine tools, you have family, and you spend time with them also, so which I like knowing about you as well.
Absolutely. No, they're amazing. My wife Annie and my kid Olivia, my little girl, they're, without Annie especially, this wouldn't have been possible. With the amount of work I put in, the 1900 hours a week every week for 15-20 years now, it's a special life, and it's probably not easy to live with me when it's so much work.
When was the last time you thought about work holding? How long did it take you to change over the clamping devices on your CNC machines? Days? Maybe hours? Don't let work holding be an afterthought. With the Heimbuch system, changeovers can be done in seconds without readjustment of the runout. No longer do you have to turn down jobs because you don't have the right work holding. When flexibility is critical, add a mandrel, 2 or 3 jaw adaptation onto your collet chuck. Use it on your turning and milling machines. With such a low maintenance system, you will see less machine downtime and your profits will soar. To learn more about the Heimbuch system, visit www.heimbuchamerica.com or call 414-358-9550. Thank goodness for the patient women in our lives, right?
Yes. No, it's amazing. It wouldn't have happened without them.
Well, let's talk a little bit, David, if you don't mind, about that start of Modig. What year did it start? How did it grow? How did you help it become what it is today? What was your role moving into the company from what your family started, decades ago?
Yeah, it started, the company started in 1947. And at that time in Sweden, there was a lot of wooden industry. So it all started with my grandfather and his brothers renovating lathes and eventually decided to build their own lathes. So that's how they came into the machine tool industry. And it over the years, it's been a lot of different models, and obviously in the beginning was manual machines, and then entered into the NC and the machining centers and high-speed machines and special machines, and so it's been a real journey. But the highlights over the years have probably been the I mean, we're not the biggest company, that's for sure, and we have delivered about 11,000 machines since then, and but we have still always been very innovative and had a lot of the latest technology on the market. So that has been our strength. When you're a small company like us, it's I would say it's quite easy to disappear if you don't have something special. So pushing always the technology has been the key thing for us, and coming up with innovative ideas. And I think both my grandfather, father, and me has had that in the blood, and that's been helping a lot. So it's always been my grandfather or me, my father or me, who's been the designers of the machine. So I know every bolt everywhere. Can talk about machining and how to machine and why and why not. So it's just, I don't know. People think I'm crazy, I think, but it's just my life.
It's a good crazy. You're a good person, David. I know that to be a fact. And I've talked with some of your customers, and they'll have conversations with you while you're walking through the shop, and you'll see one of your machines in there, and you'll be the guy that takes a rag and just like cleans off a certain spot. You take great pride in what you've created and what you do and how you incorporate that into the success of a company. It's noteworthy. It's worth bringing up. You know, I know that about you, and you do know every nut and bolt, and you know what you do is significantly unique. Not just unique, but significantly unique. So for the audience out there, because you are the only Scandinavian machine tool manufacturer creator right now. Hopefully that grows in other parts. You know, I'd love to see more coming from that area. But at this moment, and you mentioned that you're not the largest company out there. Explain the unique capabilities of what Modig brings to the table for the audience that's listening that might not know.
I think we have won a lot with over the years. I would say being the having the customers being like a part of the family, more or less. And it's we take pride, like you say, having customers come here, and a lot of our customers are very, very big, and a lot of the OEMs for large aerospace companies or automotive companies, and they're probably not seen things like this when they come and visit us. We have fun together. We see it as projects, and we come up with ideas, and I think they will always remember when they work with Modig and the pride we took, and I mean, machines will break down, that's for sure, and that's how you support the customer. They will remember that, and that's been a strong point of us. Always being, I mean, it's like hurting your baby. Somebody calls you and said, "Oh, my machine is broken," and it says Modig on it. That's not good. You know, you have to do something really, really quick.
I like the way you put that about, you know, being your child, because you do treat all your machines that way. I think that's awesome. So you're a humble guy. So I'm going to try to force you to brag a little bit, but I'm going to see if I can do that, because you are a humble guy, you know, salt of the earth kind of guy, down to earth, someone that people can talk to as a friend. But you recently won a personal award that was quite an achievement. And your company also has at least one global world record, if not more, right? Would you like to talk about some of those?
No, yeah, sure. No,
I knew I was gonna have to squeeze it out of you a little bit, but
yeah.
the audience wants to hear it, my friend.
Yeah, no, of course. No, I'm for myself. I won some awards lately, and one of them being the Entrepreneur of the Year in Sweden, which is I would say the specific award is the biggest one you can win as a company owner. So that is very exciting. I like machines, and I didn't think the jury would like them as much as I do, but I was wrong. So that was really nice. We had a great event up in Stockholm, and yeah, it was a little bit shocking, to be honest. So that was very nice, and for the companies, I mean, there has been a lot of things happening over the years, from Modig being the first one who designed and built the high-speed machining center to the what we have now, the material removal up to 1,200 cubic inches per minute, which is quite astonishing. And people don't really believe what we're doing, but I say please come here and we'll show you. And then I like seeing their jaw drop.
GTI Spindle Technology is North America's largest and most experienced independent spindle repair providers. They achieve or exceed OEM quality and testing standards while still delivering exceptional one-on-one personalized customer service and support. Since inception in 1997, they strive to provide excellence in root cause of failure analysis and reporting and cost reduction programs. We're partnering with the clients to implement best-in-class predictive maintenance and vibration analysis programs for their spindles and machine tools. With multiple U.S. service centers, they are poised to support manufacturing locations throughout North America. In the event that you have new spindle applications or replacement spindle needs, they offer a full line of new Purion speed spindles to suit any component manufacturing needs that you may have. Please visit www.gtispindle.com to learn more, or call anytime at 888-473-9675 to discuss how they can assist you. So speaking of, please come here and I'll show you so I can watch your jaw drop. Before recently, that was come to Sweden, whether it be summer, winter, come to Sweden. This is where we're doing things. But you recently opened a beautiful new facility in Wichita, Kansas. And that is such an inspiration. It's not just an office space for the people, the sales team, the engineers that you have here in the U.S., but you have machines here as well. It's a showroom. It's a place where people can come and see what your machines are all about. Talk about that growth and the inspiration about choosing Wichita.
Yeah, we have our biggest customers in the Kansas region, and Wichita especially. And it was a natural step for us now when we are trying to grow the company. And having this facility in Wichita is obviously helping us a lot. It's been in the making for quite some time, but we have been focusing here, building new factories in Sweden and expanding as we speak, actually. But so there's a lot of money flowing out, and when you're not extremely big, then you have to choose your battles. And US is a very important market for us, so that was the next big step. So it's just like you say, it's very, very exciting to be able to showcase our machines finally. A lot of the people who has them, they don't like competitors coming in and looking at their equipment. So it's been we have had a few of them who is very, very nice to help us with that. But I mean, in general, they like to keep the technology to themselves.
Isn't that the truth? A lot of us keep our cards close to our chest. So for the audience out there, when I first met David and I first learned about Modig, there are a huge line of machines. It's not just one machine or two machines. There's a line for everyone, and they range in sizes. And two of the most fascinating designs I think I've ever seen, and I'm going to describe this from a basic or an elementary school style, if that's okay, David, because I don't know these as well as you. But I describe it in a way because I've grown up machining for 20 years now, and I've been in several different industries, from precious metals and woodworking. And what really stood out about a couple of your machines was the way that you were able to move the material and cut it, and what you're always focused on. How low can I get my price per part? What can I do to create this success for the customer? And it's not just a feed rate on a machine, and it's not just reducing the cycle time. Sometimes it's software, because sometimes it's the tool diameter, and a tool diameter only has a certain rigidity based on being cut. And you and I have talked about all this. It's really cool what you've taught me. So I'm going to describe this to the best of my ability, which is probably to the worst of your ability, but I'm going to try my best. So this one machine you guys have, for the audience listening, I'm going to try and describe this vividly. If you think of a bar feed, a circular bar feed that has nearly unlimited potential for the overall length of a circular tube on a turning machine, David at Modig and David Modig, but David at Modig and the Modig machines will take a rectangular or a square or a unique T-shaped bar and put it into this Modig machine, and it gives you almost unlimited travel in the same sense that a tube would, and you can create just, instead of cutting a 6-inch part or 12-inch part and putting it into a vise or automating the vise and taking the part out or whatever we go about doing it, this machine allows for that unlimited amount of travel. And when it's done, it's almost a one and done, or a done in one, or a one-off, or however we describe that. And then the other one, which will probably blow you guys' mind who's listening, guys and gals, is imagine a table as we know them to be all the time, where the vise is on the bottom and the spindle is at the top, the vertical machining center. Now flip that upside down and you have your table on the top and the spindle on the bottom. And there are very unique reasons, but very successful reasons, why David has created this style of machine for overall rigidity and speeds and feeds and everything that goes along with it. David, could you talk about your machining line a little bit more? And if you'd like to dive into those two that I'm sure I described super poorly, I would love to hear. I'm sure the audience would love to hear more about that as well.
Yeah, no, you did great. You did great. So, I mean, we have a variety of machines, but you cannot be the best at everything. So, if you should look at the core business for Modig, it's in aerospace, big monolithic parts where you take away a lot of material, have deep pockets, shallow pockets, bulkheads, seat ribs, whatever it may be. Those are the ones that we have a machine series for, where we have been tremendously successful with this platform, the Rigimo. And the one you're referring to, the bar-fed mill, is the HHB, which comes in a variety of configurations. And this came about because of the extrusions. And we actually were the first one out there in the mid-80s to develop an extrusion machine for aerospace. And this was the core business for us for a long time. And I would say by far, we are the one who knows extrusion machining and bar machining nowadays. So where you, just like you said, load raw material, stick or bar, and you end up with a finished part in the other end, which is unique and very quick. So that has been a good thing for us to have this machine, because the last couple of years, the EV market for the automotive, they have focused a lot of their time on aluminum extrusions, and it fits perfectly within our competence of extrusion machining from the aerospace industry. So we were lucky that we had the right equipment. And then, I mean, I won't walk you through all the machines, but the inverted machine is obviously something that is exciting for us as well. And everyone knows vertical, horizontal, but not many have the idea of inverted. So we're trying to put that on the map, have something new coming out there, and not only new, but something that can be better than the existing machines out on the market. So we have quite a few models there, and when you enter into this business, there is a lot of competitors and a lot of good machine tool builders out there, and it's a lot about price and service and support. So obviously, being a smaller company, it's hard to compete in pricing. So you need to compete in other ways, and not only by being a very nice Swede. So I would say that it's a challenge, but I think we'll do well. We have the first machines coming out here in the end of the year, and we're excited.
So most of us, or a lot of us, are familiar with horizontal and vertical machining. Why would I want to invert it if I'm a potential customer of yours, David? What's the concept and the idea behind inverted machining?
There's a couple, yeah, depending on what industry you're in. And first of all, we had to make the machine rigid for what we were aiming for. So having the spindle and the slider connected to the bottom of the machine was helping a lot with the rigidity. And there was the footprint, how you could place machine next to each other or machines. It was also about chips, chip evacuation for certain parts, especially in the aerospace industry. And there was also a discussion about having high-powered standard machine, high-power spindle standard machines. Where I mean, this is our core business for the other equipment, so that's it's normal for us, but maybe not for the general public, where somebody needs something really high power or high torque. So it wasn't also a simple way for us to add multiple spindles in the RAM. So that was we're coming out with a double spindle and a 4-spindle machine as well. So I know there's a lot of them out there, very good German brands. They're doing well, but there's a Swede coming now for you.
Look at you go. So I'm going to try and bring this full circle a little bit. We started out talking about family and how you got into it. And then we got into the process of the machines and being Swedish. We talked about your array of machines. You've actually named some of these machines after specific dates of family members, right? Because I went through your whole line of machines like, David, where does this name come from? Where does this name come from? And it comes from family, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. So we have just my my grandfather was called his name was Harry, and he has an H12. So Harry born 1912. My dad has a P51 Percy born 51. I have a D80 David born 1980. So it's just some family inheritance.
I like it. I like how you squeeze that in there. And David, something I don't set people up for on this show. As we start to close this thing out, I always try to snag a bit of advice that the person I'm talking with can offer to the audience. And I'm going to be a bit long-winded to give you time to think about it. I do that on purpose because we don't plan for this. This is authentic back and forth conversation, and there's no, I didn't send you any questions before we got started, right? So I'm going to
That's
be a
okay.
bit long-winded, but coming from the machining industry, knowing that your father and your grandfather, knowing that you grew up, running around in diapers, having a little fun, and then getting serious, and it really being your life, and then also valuing family like you do as well, and being the only machine tool creator in the whole of Scandinavia at the moment. There's probably many different areas where you could offer advice to our audience, and it's up to you if you want to try to inspire some of the kids to get into our industry, or some of the folks who are looking to grow within our industry, or even some of the people who might be kind of stagnant right now and not finding motivation and want to look toward you for a piece of advice. Whoever you want to talk to, with whatever topic you want to talk to, with your great wisdom through family and through ownership and through growth and through being a small family business at the same time, working with large, massive companies and supporting them on a global scale on projects that we know require the service and support that you're able to offer. What kind of advice would you like to offer to our audience today?
Oh, that's a hard one, but there is an advice for different occasions, right? And in general, when it comes to work, I mean, you have to have passion. You have to like what you do. Otherwise, it will not work out. So that's number one. And if you have passion, obviously you need to be able to spend a lot of hours and drive your company or your goal to success. I would say working is a lot like sports. I was in the high level sports in Sweden when I was younger, and it's almost exactly the same. You make up goals, you train for them, you do things, and you have to push it really hard, and it's the same thing here. So if you're that kind of person, I think you will succeed. It doesn't need to be education. I didn't go to school. My dad didn't go to school. As long as you have the will and motivation to do what your dreams are, then I think you're in a good position. So I would say that's the number one advice from me.
That's fantastic advice, and I couldn't agree more. I'm absolutely honored to have a person of your character on the Gunn Show, and I always appreciate every minute of time that you share with me, my friend. Just getting to know you has been a real pleasure. For the people out there who want to learn a little bit more about your company history, who you are, what's your website and how can they find you?
So it is modig.se, modig.se.
There you go. Well, again, thank you so much. I really am humbled every time I get to spend time with you, David. To the audience out there, I hope you've enjoyed this show and learned a little bit about Modig and who David is and how he grew up in the industry. If you did tune into this show, I didn't do my normal introduction where I tell you what the Gunn Show is about. But if you tuned in to learn about guns or muscles, I don't have any of those. But David definitely has muscles, so maybe he could talk to you about that privately. This is about humanizing the manufacturing and engineering world, and I do thank you all for tuning in. One last time, put your hands together. David, you are amazing. Thank you so much for being a part of the show.